Well, today we're kind of going to go around. We're going to do a little training on calls, obviously, right? Just want to start it out by say, if I want to hear what you guys are doing, really, what's working, what's not working. You know, say a step-by-step guide. If I was to send you over a lead right now, an internet lead from, say, Realtor.com, what would be your process on taking that lead from, A to B?
Well, you want to qualify them first. So you give them a call and ask, and go through your lead sheet and ask what they're, why they're moving, where they're moving, what they're looking for, and then go through your pre-qual questions like, have you already talked to a bank? Are you buying cash? Are you doing some kind of special financing like VA? And then you can get a sense of where you want to show them. And then you set up an appointment, most importantly, and you take them out the next day.
All right.
Right.
What if they don't answer?
Keep doing it.
That's good. Good question.
I do leave a message, and most
How-
of the times they call back.
How often are you guys calling them back?
Once a day.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 or 3 times.
2 or 3 times in the same
Sometimes
day?
I don't call back.
And the
And
first
they'll
day?
They'll call. Yeah, what's this? They call me.
Yeah.
And they'll call back.
Yep.
Someone calls this number. And then I go into my.
Right.
Gabby, you said you don't leave a message. You
No,
get
I
pretty
do.
good success.
I do
Oh, you do
leave a
leave one.
message.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know there's lots of different ways, lots of different options. I know people that will call twice.
Mm-hmm.
You call, they didn't answer. I'm not leaving a message. I'm going to call back. That way the seller or the client sees that
The number a
number.
couple
Oh wow!
times.
Again, maybe I'll pick up this time. This might be urgent.
Yeah.
Same thing too. Sometimes people have success with messages. Sometimes people don't. If you leave a message, you think, okay, well, there's that realtor. But if you've got a message that you're leaving and they're calling back, that's
of the
good.
times.
I'd probably like to hear that or maybe share it with somebody because callback on messages are, at least for me, they're pretty rare.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
I don't leave messages. But for somebody who does, if you have whatever you're doing that works, no matter what Andy says or what I recommend, or the bottom line is that whatever you're doing that works, don't stop doing it until it stops working. Then you can look at changing your method.
Mm-hmm.
But anything you're doing that works, keep doing it and share it with us. So what do you say when you call leave a message?
Well, it really depends on the situation. But let's say they inquired about specific property. This is so and so. I'm giving you a call in regards to your inquiry on property on 123 Acre.
Okay.
I'd love to help you out. Please give me a call back, and I leave my number. So
Okay.
plain and simple.
Simple.
So-
To the point.
Usually they do call back.
Okay.
Yeah. Whenever I got a
But
call.
I send a text too. I'm sorry.
Good. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I was going to say too. Do we have any kind of text or email follow-ups as well?
Yeah, for me, I got a fair amount of callbacks when I was doing redemptions, but that was because I had a very specific pitch to give, and so I think when you leave a message, it's really important that you're tailoring it, like include the address that you're talking about. If you have their name, put that in there, and sound like you're someone who's specifically looked up their property and knows what
Right.
you're talking about.
That's interesting.
Yeah, a lack of ums and uhs. If you're leaving a message but having pauses, it's a lack of confidence. You should be pretty precise. It's indicative of you knowing what you're doing.
What else? So you said you referenced a specific address. So if you're calling on like a redemption, like a probate, or some kind of like a specific address,
With
what about
redemptions-
expired calls? Do you
with
do those?
redemptions, the best thing that I could do was that I'd already generally had a list of the houses I wanted to look at, so I had profit margins that I could give them
Okay.
as to what they could make if they redeem their house.
Okay.
And so I got to throw out a number right away, like, oh, you can make $30,000.
That's
Call
huge.
me.
Yeah,
That's actually huge.
Which is great. That's another thing. When you're making calls, when you're leaving messages, whatever you're doing, you always want to have some sort of statistic. A number, a statistic, something to back it up. And then if you can, get a co-brand or a co-market with it.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I got your information from Realtor.com.
Okay.
I saw you were searching on this property. Same thing. I know that your property on Stark Street is in redemption. You're mentioning the street and you're giving them a statistic and a solid number.
Yeah.
So these are things that it's not a robocall. It's not something that's just been generated and scripted. This is property specific.
That's very interesting. Actually, one of the things that I noticed for myself lately is that some of my calls seem to be, like you said, more of a robocall.
Yeah.
It's like just a little bit like just too generic. Like I'm not really being able to break through in some of these cases. But part of that's because, whenever I use statistics, whenever I use numbers, whenever I'm able to reference something, a little more specific or that makes me sound credentialed, I get a much better response.
Yeah.
So I think that that's huge, being able to reference something specific addresses, specific sources of the lead, whatever it might be. I think that those are huge to get an actual response in kind.
Yeah. How many times do we attempt to contact a lead, say within the first day? Like if the lead is sent out email to you, you call them. Do we stop at 1, 2, 12?
If it's the same day, call them one time, maybe
Once
twice.
in the same day.
Maybe twice.
Okay.
I'll call if I've come in on time in the morning, and then once I'm leaving,
Okay.
I have 2 rounds, and so I'll call my hot leads, my warm
Right.
leads, at like 10, and then which isn't the best time. Let's call it 8. But and then I leave around 5 or 6, and so then I'll start calling those again around 5.
Okay.
That's good.
There's a template in the FirePoint that I really like with like it says when I always call the lead first, but if they don't answer, I leave a voicemail. But then I like immediately send this follow-up email like as soon as I hang up, and it says like the first line says, "I just left you a voicemail, but I'm also reaching out via email in case this is a better way to reach you." So for every new lead that I get, I do both. I send. I leave a voicemail, and then immediately after hanging up, I send that email saying, "Hey, I'm emailing you too, just
Right.
in case it's a better way to contact you."
I like that a
It's
lot.
the same thing.
How-
That's the same thing I do.
No,
It always,
we have
getting the
FirePoint.
email always helps.
How quickly are you guys calling these leads when they come in? New brand new leads.
Oh, immediately.
And so that's where I think that I struggle sometimes because I know that there is that sense of urgency and you need to call right away. And I've had people that I have called like within minutes of getting the lead and they've already spoken to someone else. But in the same token, I don't like to call immediately if I don't have the listing in front of me or I don't have information. So it's almost like a double-edged sword because if they do answer, and then I'm like, oh, let me pull it up for you. And so like I try to balance that. So like if I'm able, I will like if I have my tablet with me, I'll pull the property right away and then call so I have it in front of me. Because I hate calling blindly, but then I also understand the sense of urgency.
You
so
can call blindly if you let them know why you'll follow back up. And you can arrange your follow back up at an appropriate time. You can say, I just saw you looked. I do want to make sure that we answer all of your questions. I'll be your realtor that'll work with you. However, I'm in the middle of a meeting. I just didn't want you to think that I was ignoring your inquiry.
That's a strategy.
Is this a good, what would be a good time for
Hang
me
on.
to follow back up?
I don't know if that's the best strategy. That's a strategy. I don't know if that's the
Yeah.
best strategy. Because it's important, I think, first of all, Andy, you got some
I've got some stuff,
Yes.
I can pass this stuff around.
Yeah, pass it around for
Obviously,
people
you
to
can see
Yeah.
if a company attempts phone contact within 5 minutes after the lead submission, your odds are 100 times greater.
It doesn't say
than
that.
contacted within
It doesn't
30
say that you
minutes.
have to have the listing in front of you. You don't need that.
You
So
just
that-
need to contact.
You just need to give them a
You
call.
you just got to get
They're
them a call.
important. I
So-
just say you're important to me.
So.
And you got
So calling right away is the most important thing. And one of the things that we've looked at before, some of you weren't in this, I did a conversion training a few months ago where we looked at an MIT study that said that people's expectation is to be called within 5 minutes too. And furthermore, a certain percentage of those people that responded expected a call right away. Like it would almost be instantaneous. Like they hit
I
submit
click
and
the
they
button.
expect a call.
Actually, my phone should be ringing.
Now, you might notice when you call somebody like that, some people are like, holy shit, I just hit submit.
Yeah.
Right? Now, you want to be careful right there. Yeah, I'm not always this good, but I try to be expedient with my service, And that doesn't matter whether you have the listing. It doesn't matter, Zillow actually put out recently kind of like a best practices that I was able to look at. And one of the things that they recommend is, some people might be interested in reaching the listing agent, or they might be interested in that listing. The important thing isn't to answer their questions. Then you're just an order taker. you want to be able to answer their questions, but you also want to be able to convert them into business.
Oh yeah, make suggestions from them.
If all they care about is there a basement, and then they want to hang up the phone, that's a problem. If all they want to know is this house still for sale, and then they want to hang up, that's a problem. So being able to delay, their gratification with whatever their question is huge. It's paramount. You're not going to convert business if all you do is answer the question.
Yeah.
So to Andre's point, not having the listing can almost be a benefit to you. In the sense that, hey, look, I can pull it up when I'm driving right now. Are you looking just in Westland, or is there other areas you're interested in? Hey, great, because you can always get back to them with their specific question, but you need to further qualify them. And by qualify, to your point, what's your name?
Christian.
TJ.
Nice to meet you, TJ.
To Christian's point, I don't like asking about, do you have a pre-approval or are you paying cash? Until we've already set the appointment. Because I don't want to break rapport with them by saying, are you pre-approved? That's an easy way to kill rapport.
Yeah.
So until you have the consultation set, who cares? You can always say, oh, you're not pre-approved? Okay, great. Tell you what, let's get you approved before our meeting. That way we're set for our meeting. So don't ever ask, are you pre-approved or are you paying cash or anything like that, until you've already built the relationship and have the appointment.
With the pre-approval thing, I think it is a good question to ask, but not in a I'm not going to meet you sort of way.
Absolutely.
In a I can help you get that.
I do say I won't be with you in that sort of way, but only once I've already established the appointment.
Yeah.
So if I got the appointment set, now I'm going to go through and qualify them. But what I'm talking about up front with qualification is getting, one of the things Andy and I talked about earlier is a lot of agents call with the intention of, getting the showing appointment.
Right.
Or I don't know if you set buyer consultations or getting the buyer consultation. And if they don't say yes, then we just never call them again. And that might be one place where you should consider, trying to find out a way that you can get a nurture from that. Because, a nurture, is everybody familiar with what a nurture is?
Yeah.
Okay. Andre, you are? So a nurture is somebody that we're going to follow up with. They're not a now buyer. They're not a now seller. But they're somebody that we're going to...
That's what I call it. It's a drip campaign candidate.
Yeah, a nurture. It's a nurture. So a nurture is somebody we're going to keep in touch with them. We're going to, be their liaison. And when everybody else stops calling, when they quit inquiring on Zillow, hopefully they're just inquiring with you now. Now they're going to call you. Or you're going to call them. You're going to find out that perfect time that they're ready. So, so to get nurtures that you can keep in touch with on a weekly or monthly basis is almost more important and will end up getting you more business than the people that say yes the first time that you call.
Right.
Right? Because now you can call these people. Now you got 20 or 30 people a month that you're following up with. And over the course of 90 or 180 days, those 20 or 30 people, you might only convert 1% of those.
The question would be is when do you convert these drip campaigns, these nurture leads into
Now buyers?
Yeah.
On their terms.
When they're ready.
On their
Yeah.
terms.
Ready?
When
So-
they tell you, hey, thanks for keeping, I saw something come across today and I'm ready.
The three things that you need on a buyer nurture are price. Okay, what price range are you looking in? And some people will say, like I've had people walk into my office that wanted to buy $300,000 homes, but they wanted to pay $1,300 a month, which just doesn't happen. And it's unfortunate because Zillow says, "Oh, own
Right.
this home for $900 a month. It's $150,000. You're not going to own it for $900 a month." So it's important to find out their price range or what payment type they're looking to have, because a lot of them don't know what price range. They're not approved yet. Like for somebody who isn't approved, finding out what payment type they're looking for, because they have no idea yet. They haven't talked to a lender. So what payment amount are you looking for? What price range? The second thing that you need for a buyer nurture is areas. What areas are you looking in? What school districts are you looking in? Are you looking just in Livonia? Or are you interested in like Northwestland where it's still Livonia schools? Finding out schools or areas or counties. A lot of people are really like, they'll say, oh, well, I'm interested in Westland but not Garden City. Well, why? That's the same area. I mean, why not Dearborn Heights? So make sure too that when you're looking at areas, if you don't know the areas, like if you don't know all the areas around the areas that you're serving, pull up the map, Google Maps. So if they say Dearborn, and you don't know what areas border Dearborn, or what areas are maybe, analogous to Dearborn, then pull up the map of Dearborn and ask, what about Melvindale?
Mm-hmm.
What about, would you consider moving to Detroit? You know, ask those questions so you can find out other areas and you can suggest other areas. The third criteria that you need for a buyer nurture is motivation. You need to know time frame to buy or time frame to move. You know, when are you looking to move? Are you looking to do something this year or next year? You thinking springtime or summertime? You thinking now or you thinking maybe like 3-4 months from now? You know, a lot of people will say next year. Well, what does that mean? There's that next year is
Spring, summer, fall.
it's between 2 and 14 months from now. So when are you looking to move? You know, and anybody who's not looking to move in the next 90 days, never bring them in. Never take them out. If they're not looking to move in 90 days, there's no need. You know, there's no need to waste your time so that they can watch the market for 3 months and they can look at houses for 3 months and then maybe buy it from you in 3 more. No. You know, if they're not looking to move for 6 months, I mean, well, I take that back actually. For those of you who don't have a big pipeline yet, who maybe are looking to establish relationships, like Erica, you know, you recently said there's somebody that's not looking to move right now, but you're going to meet with them now, build a relationship, and maybe even get the contract now. Get the contract for 12 months. So if they're looking to move in 6,
Like an
you've got them under contract for a year. You know, so I take back my earlier statement. So if they're not looking to move now, you may or may not want to bring them in now, depending on, you know, what your individual goals are for your business.
But that's the agency contract you're referring to, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because, you know, you really shouldn't be showing property without an agency contract anyway. There's a ton of liability. There's a number of reasons why, but that's another day, another dollar. Point is that price, area, motivation, and once you know the motivation, you know, not just time frame, but also why they're moving. Why are you moving? Is this your first home? Do you have a house to sell? Do you need to sell first and then buy, or do you want to find the right home first and then, you know, because we can do them at the same time. But price, area, and motivation are huge for buyer nurtures. And then, dude, I mean, those nurtures will net you a lot of cash. Keep in touch, you know, once a month or every couple of weeks, whatever your schedule allows you to do. But usually no less than once a month unless they're like 12 months out. So if you got somebody who's not buying for literally a year, like, you know, it's January now and they need like next tax season or something like that, if that's the case, you don't got to call them every month. Call them back in 6. You know, call them back in 3. But for somebody who could be buying in the next like 6 months, I call them once a month. Hey, it's Robert, just checking in with you. I just want to check in, see how things are going with your house search. Do you need me to change anything about your search? So once you have their PAM, I call it, the price, area, motivation, then you want to start sending them houses. And you want to track their portal entries and see if they're using the portal. Hey, saw you haven't checked the houses out. What's going on? Do I have your email address right? You know, something like that. So that you can really, you know, refine as you go. You know, they're going to change their price point. They're going to probably change their areas. You know, and when you call. So I know we're sending listings in Canton and Westland. Are you still looking at just those 2 cities, or is there any other areas? Actually, I decided no Westland, just Canton. I might actually consider Belleville also, but I'm not really sure. You know, whatever. So ask them when you call. You're not just calling to say hi. You're calling to make sure the search is still working for them. Is this still your price range? Are you still thinking spring, summer? Whatever. Make sure that you always have their most current.
And you should always be, you know, taking notes on
Of
these
course.
people, so you can come back with it, you know. And I guess one of the things I want to jump back to the calls and the initial contacts, right? So we kind of went around the table, and it seemed like if you get a lead, you call them once that day, right?
Yep.
And that's it, right? So you got less than a 50% chance of getting a hold of them on the first call, right? If you call 2 times, that's going to jump up to a 70% chance.
Okay.
Right? On here, they've got, so this is an outtake. This is from The Conversion Code. It's a book, Chris Smith. So basically, he's got 6 contacts. If you make 6 call attempts, that gives you a 93% chance of actually making contact, right? And this guy talks about, you know, this is within literally 1 minute, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, right? So you're calling 6 times that day.
Yeah.
Right? Which I've got nothing against that. These people are coming to us for information.
Keep in mind, they hit submit.
They hit submit. I'm not cold calling. I'm not trying to sell you something you don't want. You came at me for information. I want to give it to you.
Yeah.
You know, if you're buying, what agent do you want? The guy that called you once and left a voicemail, or the guy that was persistent throughout the entire? Because if you're doing this to get a hold of me, I can only imagine what you're doing to other agents trying to get my offer over.
Right.
You know, that's the person I want to work with.
Yeah.
You know,
You can also use that. I'm sorry, Andy. You can also use that as a talking point. If you finally get a hold of somebody, you call them the 6th time, and they're like, "Stop calling me." You can use that, what he just said, as a talking point to convert them back, to get them back from that anger.
Yeah, and
Say,
I mean,
look-
same thing too, you don't have to overkill, you know, because there's people that have complained too that, oh, there's another agent, they called me 20 times or 40 times. You can call a couple times, email, text, reach out, but you want to probably reach out at least about 6 times to these people. Because calling once, if you look at it this way, say we send you over a $200,000 lead, right? $6,000. That's 3% GCI. So you got $6,000. This is your paycheck. That's only worth one phone call to you guys. Really? Hey, yeah, try calling. I know you want to buy this $200,000 house. Let me know when you're ready.
Yep.
You know. In the meantime, remember they click submit. And Zillow, Trulia, Realtor, these sites are so watered down right now. This is going out to 10, 20 different agents, right? So we've got guys in a boiler room right now with headsets that are calling these people 5, 6, 7, 8 times and getting a hold of them. So they're not going to get to your message. By the time you're even done leaving a voicemail, they've received 3 calls from different agents. You know, and I think it's, what is it, like 45 to 50% of internet leads will go with the first person they speak to.
50%, yeah.
Yeah,
First person.
the first person they speak to. So getting that initial contact is crucial. Also setting up some sort of follow-up or drip emails within that first week. If you want to try and touch these guys on day 1, day 2, day 5, day 7, right? Hit them another 4 times that same week, right? Go strong that first week. 6 calls, 4 emails, right? That's
10 contacts.
10 contacts within 7
Throw
days.
a couple of text messages in there.
Yeah. So 10 times you're reaching out within a week. If you don't get a response, slow it down.
Listen, how many of you guys actually talk on the phone to your friends or family every day? Like, who talks on the phone every day to friends or family? Actual live phone call? None. Okay, you do? I mean, I know I do. Like, I talk to my wife. I probably talk to my mom a few days a week.
People hate calling on the phone.
People text, dude. Yeah, people fucking text. So there's no reason to, not text people. You're not being rude. You're actually reaching them on their terms. Yeah. So,
That's
like
faster.
to Erica's point, hey, just left you a voicemail, but in case email is better. Hey, just left you a voicemail, but in case text is better, feel free to text me.
And a lot of times the text or the email, that works. Some people are scared they're going to be sold. Right? I don't want to talk to you because you're a salesman that's calling me, and I'm scared. Right? I don't want to buy. I don't want to make a decision. I don't want to sign anything.
Yeah.
They don't like the
You
pressure.
send them a text.
Hey, just what areas you looking in?
Right.
I saw you inquired in Westland. Just everything in Westland, or just that one house?
Just that one house, right?
That's another one too that you need to make sure like that you're incorporating is, as a way to kind of break their preoccupation of being sold. To Andy's point, hey, I know you inquired on Main Street, but are you just interested in that one house? Or are you looking at everything in Westland?
No, it's just gesturing.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, some of the important things is going to be your speed to response, right? Also having a meaningful conversation once they do answer, right? You want to have a meaningful conversation. You want it to be something, and also you should kind of track what does it take for you to I guess close. How long is that conversation that you think you're going to get something out of? If I'm on the phone with somebody for 2 minutes, is that a successful call?
Interesting.
Or does it take me 10 or 20 minutes?
I'd say it depends on your lead sheet,
You know,
as long as
so-
you get it all filled out.
So if I know that, hey, in order to have a successful call, I'm going to need about 10 to 15 minutes rapport and talk time with this guy. You know that going in. So hey, has to be at least a 15-minute call. I got to keep this guy on the phone. I've got to hit these questions, these points, in order to set up for my next call, my next appointment, whatever step 2 is going to be.
Yeah. Keep it in mind too that, telling's not selling. Being on the phone with somebody for 20 minutes doesn't mean it was a great call.
Right.
Right. Somebody who just drags you all over the map, telling you about their dog and their kids and their house, that's not a great call. You need to either be asking for an appointment or asking for a nurture. Getting a no is fine. I mean, if they say no, that means you can stop calling them. You don't got to call 4 or 5 more times.
Right.
So getting a no is almost as good as getting a yes, and getting a nurture again can be more valuable than getting an appointment today. Does anybody? Okay, so I know you do buyer consults. Do you track how many people actually show up? How many people don't show up to your buyer consults? Do you track that?
I've only had one.
Mine are
that
50-50.
canceled.
So as you start going along, mine are 50-50. So if I set 4 appointments, 2 are going to show up, right? So keeping in mind, that that's true, you might want to also consider, like, what are you going to do with that time if they don't show up? If you're here at the office to meet with them and they don't show, can you use that time to make calls? Absolutely. Should you go home? Probably not. You should probably use that time to, greater impact your business and obviously then follow up to reschedule. Shoot them a text, shoot them a call, email them. Hey, no problem. I know stuff comes up, but hey, are you still thinking this week's good, or you want to do something next week? So don't just lose those, people who don't show or whatever. Make sure that you follow up on those.
Yeah. And like you're saying, getting the no is okay.
Yeah.
The super simple email. I know you use one that's similar to it. Subject line, quick question. Body, are you still looking to purchase a home?
Yep.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
You sent out something similar to that, right? You sent out like 300 or so, and you got 20 plus responses.
I just got 2 more responses on those. I sent 318 emails on cold fire list, and I got 26 responses.
That were yeses, or that were just responses in general?
26 total, which
Yeah.
I still thought was great.
It
Because
is
wonderful.
And some of these people had been in our system for God knows how long, like months and months and months. And
What
it
buyer
was
list are you looking at? Mojo?
from
Top producer.
Top
Top
producer.
producer.
So all incoming inquiries for Elite. And
Point is,
it was 3 questions, and some people are slow, and so they would say yes, even though there were 3 questions. So I'm like, yes to what? Or yes and yes, but not answer the third. But then it's a way to kind of have dialogue, and I actually.
Yeah.
That door is creeping open.
Yes.
You have to push it open and get there.
I've had people that have argued with me. How did you get my information? Literal threats and everything. But it's still dialogue.
Yeah.
What was your
So,
response when they said to you?
I'm sorry.
What was your response when they said to you, "How did you get my information?"
Well, I don't remember. Remember, I read them
Yeah.
to you because I was like, you were in a database for follow-up. You must have inquired at some point, either via phone call or email. No, I never did. I'm not even approved. And then I said, well, I do apologize. I was just following up to make sure you got everything you needed. I can remove you from the list if you'd like me to. But it was but he was like
Yeah.
sending me all these crazy things, and I'm
But
like,
I mean, at the same time too, it's a contact. You've got to respond.
It's a conversation.
Right?
you don't got to call that guy again now. Now
Right.
you just have to be emailed again.
Right.
So getting a no, yesterday
Yeah.
I sent out 30, 40 text messages to some of my nurtures that were all due that I just called in the last 48 hours. I had called all these nurtures, right? I had these nurtures due. So then I sent out a text, right? I got 2 contacts on my calls, but I got 4 or 5 contacts on my SMSs. Right. So I was able to remove 3 people, and I got 2 that were, I'm still interested, I'm still looking, or whatever. So, getting those no's, now instead of 40 contacts when I do my nurtures, I've got 37, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, it frees you up. So getting a no is fine.
It's
It's
still a numbers game, guys. When you're looking at it, the number of calls you make, and then the number of contacts you make, then the number of people who you actually work with. Those areas grow bigger than the more contacts you make. So even if you make 10 contacts today, 9 of them say no and you get a yes. You make 30 contacts tomorrow, your conversion rate is usually about the same. So now you've got 20 contacts, you've got 3 people that say yes. It's still a numbers game. Getting no's is not a bad
It
thing.
actually helps your business because that frees up time for new prospecting.
Push them to no.
Pushing
You
the
know,
no, yeah. The same
pushing
thing.
the
So
no.
if we now we're talking about calls and contacts and nurturing, we flip to the next page. It's got best days and times to contact leads. Right? So if you guys are in here and I called, nobody answered because you're coming in here every day calling at 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
On a Monday, then this is kind of why. It's got some of your best times to qualify, right? Between 8 and 9 a.m. and 4 to 6 p.m. Wednesdays and Thursdays.
Yep.
Right? They say Wednesdays and Thursdays are the best. Middle of the week, You know, they're already in their routine. They've already got their stuff done. Everyone's got
pressure
got
on
past
them.
their case of the Mondays and whatever, you know. So this is crucial. If you're having a bad time following up on leads, getting contacts, getting responses, try early morning or late night call session. You know, once a week. It's life changing.
Yeah.
That is.
Late night works. It works.
And same thing too. Another thing, when we do get a hold of these people, you know, what are we asking them? Are we asking them? Are we telling them? Are we going through motions? You know, because I know I've heard some people on the phones, and I think there's a lot lacking with qualifying questions. You know, a lot of people try and make it like property specific, like that house on Palmer Road on Zillow that they called on really matters.
Right.
In the grand scheme of things, this is somebody looking to purchase a home.
Right.
Right. When are they looking to move?
That home doesn't matter. Like
That
we were
home doesn't
talking
matter.
about. Finding out their
1%.
Never
motivation.
does.
1% of
It
the
probably
people
won't
that
be
call,
active when you get to it anyway.
1% of the people that you talk to on that specific property are going to buy that property. 1%. That's it. So getting more information, getting them with you is much more important than that house that they call.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
That's why having the listing in front of you is irrelevant.
Yep.
You don't
Yes.
need that listing.
You don't need
And
it.
it's better if you don't have it. You know, it gives you an excuse to have
Yeah.
to call back.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, I guess if you were to call somebody and ask them how long they've been looking, what would the response be? If say give me a call, you know, ask, I've been looking for about 2 weeks now. What would your response to that be?
Are you working
Awesome.
with an agent?
Yeah. You must not be working with the agent.
Nah, I wouldn't say
So
that.
that's it, right to cut right to the agent.
Yeah.
I want a job, hire me, right? That's what I'm getting. That's the feeling I'm getting. Are you working with an agent? Because I'm an agent. I'm available. Let's do it. That's what I'm getting. You know, there wasn't like a dig deep or a second layer to that.
I would-
2 weeks, that's great. So you're fairly new at looking, huh?
Just started looking?
Is this your first home?
Yeah.
Have that follow-up question
Yeah.
that they can respond to you with another conversation,
Sure.
right? As in, you know, are you working with an agent? Yeah, I am actually.
You want
Yeah,
as little
somebody's
yes
sending them
no's.
houses.
Just yes no in the
Somebody's
first
sending
part of
houses,
the
so we're with an
conversation. You're
agent.
setting
Yeah.
yourself up. No yes no's in the first round of questioning because yes no's shut you down, not
Wow.
them.
Right.
They're able to quickly dispel whatever it is you're
But
talking
the thing
about.
is, you want to get information that you can use towards them later on,
Ammunition, baby.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Get
am I
them
working with an
talking.
agent? That's not going to help me, you know, qualify these people. I mean,
Nurture.
Yeah, that's not going to help me nurture. You know, if I know, hey, you've been looking for 2 weeks. Is this your first home? What made you decide to move? What got you started looking? You want to find out the answers to these questions.
Their why is your what to do list. Whatever they're saying their whys are, that's what you're going to have to overcome in order to get them in the office signing documents. So you need to know their whys first and foremost all the time. Without the whys, you stumble. They don't like the list you're sending. They have all kinds of issues with your service. So always address their why. Remember, we're need versus want oriented already. You want to meet their needs first, and the only way to do that is to know their whys. That's back to motivation.
Are you going to go to acknowledge, respond, pivot now, or are you still on?
I think we can get there. Yeah, I think we'll do it. You guys familiar with ARP?
ARP.
A little bit of ARPing.
Yeah.
Acknowledge, respond, pivot. Right? So this is kind of crucial things in phone conversion and any kind of conversation that you have with leads is going to be acknowledge, respond, pivot. Right? If we're unfamiliar, I've got a script here, and this would kind of break it down on how it would go. Hi, my name's Andy with Elite Realty. I was calling about the home you found using Realtor.com. Looks like it's for sale, and they're still accepting showings. Did you have some more questions I could help you with? Right? So I'm ending my statement with a question so I can gain a response from them. Right? I've already pinpointed a couple of things together. Right? I've said who I'm with, what I do, where I got your information, and also, you know, gave them some more general info on the property. Right? So if they respond, yeah, I just want to know the price of that home. Right? Which is a big one. I just want to know the price.
Yep.
Is it available? I just want. They just want to know one thing.
Right.
Acknowledge. You just need the price? No problem. Let me pull that listing up.
Yep.
So you've acknowledged what they want. So they don't feel brushed off. They don't feel like you're trying to sell them. You're trying to push something else on them. During this acknowledgement time, this is when you build your response, right? So now this is totally up to you. If you say, oh yeah, the house is $120,000. All right, got what I want. Great.
Great.
See you later, right? If you build a response, oh wow, it looks like that one's actually priced a little high for the area. I see some around 100, 110,000 range. You take that. This is your pivot point right now.
Right.
You're going to go ahead and turn that. How long have you been looking in that neighborhood?
Right.
Now I'm going to open up to you. Right? I'm past the point of wanting to know the price. You just told me it's kind of overpriced, or maybe it's underpriced, or good, whatever. But
Now,
then
at this point, have you
turned
told
me.
them the price yet?
I have not.
Okay.
I
So
have
you
not.
haven't answered their question, and
Right.
that's key too. You know, not that we want to not answer. Like, you know, one of the people that I admire in the business, he talks about this, and I talked about this before. Calling up a car dealership, and you know, you just want to know if this vehicle is still available, right? Or you want to know because they posted just a generic vehicle, or like we post a generic listing, or
Right.
generic. You know, so it's like, you know, there's only one picture, right? So do you have more photos of that? What's the address, right? When you call, you know, like you don't want to be just, oh well, are you pre-approved? Well,
Right.
Are you paying cash, or you know, are you looking at just that truck, or yeah, just that one truck, you know, or
One.
just that one house?
It's
Okay,
the only
great.
thing that'll get me to work is that red Ford
So
pickup.
I really
that you
like
posted.
that is saying, you know, acknowledging. Okay, great. You're just looking for that,
Yes.
the pictures on that house. Great. Let me get that pulled up for you. Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
And then the response part is huge too, because
Yeah.
being able to build some more, like being able to quote something, being able to use something, being able to spit something out that's useful, a statistic or whatever. Will
Because
endear them
now
to
you're
you.
showing market knowledge.
Yeah, you're showing
You know,
value.
you're giving this guy something more than he got from clicking that link on Realtor or Zillow.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe there's a benefit to talking to Erica as opposed to me just doing this on my own.
I like that.
Also using that point in time when you're filtering your response to gather a little bit of contact info extra. Look, while I'm pulling this up, I want to be able to send it to you. You said you want those pictures. What email is appropriate? What's the best email for you? Now I just got them to verify their best contact point, and I can say, because I want to send it to you right away. Now they feel like I'm immediately looking to get them what they want, and it's going to open them up a little bit more. Oh, yeah, let me give you that. That email address is this. Now you give them the vague answer that you give them. If they bite for it, and most of the time they will, if you say that's a little high, well, what are they normally going for? Well, I'm seeing. Now
Yeah,
you're telling
right.
them what you're seeing, and they're realizing, well, I'm on Zillow, and it's not. Well, I do have access and resources to a greater wealth of information for the market. Now they want that too. People want what they don't have, what they can't get. You say, you know, since I have the email, you know, what other areas were you looking? Let me make you knowledgeable on those too. Now you have a lot more to go on for when you actually do communicate.
And
with
remember, too, guys, we can do 2-3 phone calls. We don't have to close them on that first one. We don't have to. It's obviously important to know if you're working with a realtor and you're pre-approved. Yes. But what's going to make me feel better about hiring you as my realtor and sending you my pre-approval?
Right.
If you do a 20-minute rapport building phone call with these guys, or 10 minutes, and that's one of the biggest things is with calls, a lot of people won't just sit back and listen. Just listen to them. Don't try and interject. Don't try and change them. Don't try and steer them in a different direction. Just go ahead and listen to them.
So I'm probably the jumpy agent in this hypothetical scenario you're describing, because I was always taught to set an appointment by the end of the call.
Yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
But how does that relate to setting drip campaigns and nurture campaigns? Because you're saying call them multiple times, make multiple
Yes.
contacts. Do you set an appointment or attempt to set
No,
an appointment
these
each
are
time
multiple. You can end your initial
Depends on that.
contact with an appointment for a follow-up call.
Yeah.
All right, this is great, man. I've got all this information. I'm going to put together a detailed list of properties for you. I'm going to give me about an hour or two. Let me work on something that's tailored right to you and your needs. Now that I know what you want, I'm going to be able to give you that. Give me about an hour to put something together. I'm going to give you a call back.
Sure.
You know, so you can end that conversation with, my appointment is to call you again in an hour.
That's setting an appointment.
And if they're a now buyer, try to get the appointment
Yes.
to meet them.
Yes.
If they're looking to move,
If you can close something on the first call, obviously
Kudos.
do it.
Yeah.
Getting a hold of somebody for that second call, third call, that might be a little hard.
what are some ways to know if they're a now buyer?
That's what I was wondering.
Keywords. Listen.
So, have you seen any houses that you'd like to look at in person? Yeah, actually, there's 3 homes that I'd really like to see. Okay,
And I
great.
drove by them. When they say they drove by them,
Well, whatever.
that's a cue to
You know,
go.
if they're seeing homes that they want to look at, that's a key. Another one is, are you looking to move? Like, do you have any kind of like deadline or timeline I should know about? If they're looking to move, like, my lease is up December 30th, that's a now buyer. If they need to move before December 30th, they need to move now. Again, if they're looking to move in the next 90 days, if they want to move in the next 90 days, then they're a now buyer. If they've already seen the inside of some homes, so not are you seeing any, but have you seen any homes inside? Or is this going to be your first one? Insinuating that you're going to show it to them. Oh, actually, this is going to be my first one. Okay, great. You need to dig a little deeper and find out whether or not they're a now buyer. But if they haven't seen the inside of any homes yet, or if they have, pardon me, if they've seen some homes inside, somebody showed them some homes, that insinuates that they're probably a now buyer.
Yeah.
I need to jump on a webinar in 3 minutes, so I need to just get through a couple things with you guys. Knowing your numbers, I've talked about this before. Does anybody know the average sale price right now in RealComp? What the average sale price of our MLS is, MLS wide? Take a guess. Any guesses?
About 230.
195. 195. So is your average sale price more or less than 195, right? So if you're less than 195, obviously you're less than average for RealComp. Anybody know the average sale price of Wayne County right now?
So like like 100,000.
149,
49.
268. So 149.2. So, and those are 2 statistics you can use in your presentations and your pitches too. More so probably with sellers, but definitely knowing those numbers, is important. How many showings to get a pending right now? Anybody know the average showings to pending?
7.
It's actually 19.4 MLS wide right now, or Wayne County,
Wayne
19.4.
County? Okay, I can see that.
Now, earlier this year, it was like 11. Right now, it's 19.4, which is huge. The median number of showings to pending is 14. That means half the listings get more than 14 showings, half get less. So median number of showings to pending. So for your sellers, if you've had 16, 17, 18 showings, Mr. Seller, the property is not under contract yet. The average number of showings is 19. We got a problem here. And if you don't know where to find that information, I can show you where to find that information.
Actually, you can set the tab on your RealComp to show you every day.
Yeah, you can. Months of inventory. You guys know what months of inventory is? Months of inventory. If we froze the market today, how long would it take us to sell what's already here? So if we didn't list another property, how long would it take us to sell? What's a seller's market? How many months of inventory is a seller's market?
6 or less.
6 or less. Good man. High five. 6 or less. You need to know that. If you don't know that, that's a problem. What's a buyer's market? How many months of inventory signifies a buyer market?
12 or more.
More than 6.
More than 6.
More than 6 months.
Inside.
So who's in control of the market? How many months of inventory do we have right now in Wayne County?
Not enough.
2.5. Any other guesses? Is it a seller's market?
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's less than 6, right? How many months? You guys got to know
5,
that.
4.
You got to know that. 3.1 currently. Now, do most of you sell between 60 and 145? Is that the average
Yeah,
sale price
that's
most of your
average
houses?
sale price, yeah.
Average? Is that average? How many months of inventory in that price range? Huge. You got to know those
Most
things,
of the market.
especially if you're listing property. If you're listing property, you need to know the months of inventory in that city and that price range for that style of home, for that county. You got to know that stuff. There's 2.3 months inventory. That's nothing. That means it's a strong, strong seller's market in that price range. Most of the listings I went on this year, looking at the graph for the year, the months of inventory have been less than 6 all year in all price ranges and all areas that I've listed property. I've sold 35 homes in the past year for sellers. So that's a pretty good sample of data. Every listing I went on. except one.
Except
Except one.
Except one, which is
Except-
not listed yet.
Which is not listed yet. I called him 2 days ago. You didn't call me
Saying
yet.
there's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance. But, when it comes to months of inventory, all year less than 6. Most months, 1 to 2 months inventory. We don't go less than 1 month. There's no such thing. So if you've got 1 month of inventory for sale, Mr. Seller, how quick are we going to sell your home if it's priced right and the photographs look good? Should be right away. If it's not, there's a problem. All right, I got to go. One last thing before I go, just a tip for you guys. Earnest money deposits. Don't chase your people for earnest money. Either have them bring it to the inspection or have them bring it to the office.
Yeah.
I was thinking today, I used to drive to people's work. I'd drive to their house. I'd go pick up the earnest money. Why? Don't do that.
Yeah.
Have them bring it to you. Or have them bring it to the inspection. Don't go chase their earnest money deposits.
Hey,
Don't
you
chase
wanna be
signatures.
responsible for holding it.
If they can't docu-sign it, dude, have them fax it to you. Have them come up here to sign the papers. Don't go to them. Use your time effectively. See you guys.